All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Wealth Edit Wednesday. We are very excited to have Krystal Armstrong from
Hello.
Andrelle's natural skincare line.
Yes.
But I am so excited to have you today, Krystal. Krystal has been in the beauty industry for over 10 years,
Mhm.
began as a makeup artist, and her career took off, but she also had a love for products, which kind
Yes.
of wove its way throughout all those years of being a makeup artist. And then
Mhm.
kind of turned into a passion of hers where she is not only a licensed cosmetologist, she's also a clinical herbalist.
Yes.
So has gone to school to learn even more about that, and now is the founder of Andrelle's natural
Yeah.
skincare line. So Krystal, welcome and thank you so much for being
Thank
here
you.
today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited. I'm excited. I love doing
Well,
dope
I
things with
told
women.
Krystal we haven't had really anybody in the beauty
We
industry,
really haven't.
Oh, really?
so we're so excited about this. And so maybe we can just start off
Oh,
this morning with you telling us a little bit about your background.
okay. Well, I'm Krystal Armstrong, as she said, and I am a licensed cosmetologist and clinical herbalist, owner of Andrelle's Natural Skincare. I started in the beauty industry back in like 2009, when things were kind of popular, but not really. We wasn't big on YouTube and Instagram back then, so it was more of the hustle and bustle of word of mouth and things like that. But what kind of launched me into doing skincare actually happened before that. I started making skincare products in 2007, and I didn't make them to sell them. I really made them because I had such a passion for skin, like healthy skin. And I wanted to be able to provide people that confidence of having clear skin, because at the end of the day, we all know everyone, no matter who you are, what walk of life, we all want clear skin, because it's a
Mhm.
real confidence booster to have just clear, healthy skin. So with myself not really being anyone with real skin concerns, and I don't know if it's because I'm very anal about skincare, which is probably why I didn't have real skin concerns. But I had friends, I had family, I had coworkers, things like that that really dealt with skin issues. And I was like, well, let me see if I can make something that will help their skin. And I decided to do the natural route because I'm not a chemist. So I can't sit there and just start mixing chemicals and start blowing things up. So I said, well, let me stick to something I can research a little better and know. And that's how I started making product. And back then I think I only had like a cleanser and I think a moisturizer. But the cleanser was the item that actually helped to do a lot with clearing people's skin. And at one time, I know there was, I know I'm pretty sure they do this everywhere, but I'm from New Orleans, so how they have like teenagers do like summer jobs and things like that. There was a guy who was working at my office for the summer, and he had really bad acne. I mean, like really bad. And I gave him some of my cleanser at the time. I was like, "Oh, just try this out and see if it works for you." I promise y'all, in 2 weeks, this guy's skin was almost clear, like
That's amazing.
completely just almost completely clear. And I had the same issue with, well, not a same issue, but a skin concern with a coworker of mine, and she had an issue where it would peel and it'll have like discoloration. So it's like wherever her skin would peel heavily, it'll get lighter. So she had like really light spots in her face,
Mhm.
and she tried, different things with dermatologists, of course, and nothing worked. So I gave her some stuff, and she used it, and sure enough, her skin completely evened out. She wasn't peeling anymore and things like that. And honestly, it's funny because I didn't launch the line until 2014. I was giving all this stuff away. This was not anything. I'm sorry, let me turn this off. It wasn't anything that um I was selling. It's just I just loved it that much, and I like to see the result and see that confidence boost so much that I was literally handing it out for 7 years. And then eventually one day I decided, all right, well, I think I should probably start selling this stuff and giving more people access. And that started Andrelle's.
Mhm.
That's
That's
awesome.
amazing. And I mean, how have you seen the industry change? Because the journey you're describing, it's like as we were growing up and into skincare and like figuring out what healthy skincare was, it was like you start out with a cleanser and a moisturizer. Now there's like different serums and there's different like vitamins and all these different steps. and it collagen. There's all these things that you can, do with your skin to make it the healthiest it can be. And it just seems like this progression. So what have you seen from the lens through which you look? What's important for us to be doing and taking care of with all the options? Because now there's so many options.
There's a lot. Okay, so the main thing is always remembering that the skin in general likes two things, water and oil. So, a lot of people are scared of oils, which you shouldn't be, because the skin naturally produces it, which means it prefers it. It's an issue normally because people are like, well, my skin's already oily. Why am I adding oil to my skin and things like that? And I always tell people, like, the skin or the body itself, it heals itself in all ways that it knows how. So if your skin is producing more oil or you're oily, oily skin or something like that, it's because your skin is feeling like it needs oil, it needs hydration. So if you're dehydrating your skin, it's going to keep producing more oil. So that's usually the combo. It's like combating what you're doing, because most of the time we think, oh, I have to dry this oil out so it stops producing it, but really you're just telling the body to just keep going, like keep producing more. If you start feeding your body what it needs, it actually calms down and balances itself out. So I always say, make sure you have a really good deep cleanser, like something that really cleanses the skin, like not just surface cleanse, but like, you almost feel like squeaky clean afterwards, like there's nothing left, but not stripping, but just cleansing. And then follow with some sort of water-based something. So it could be an essence, it can be a toner, it could be a water-based moisturizer, thing like that, and then seal it with an oil. So what's going to happen is the water, because water don't mix, but water is smaller in molecule, and so it's going to go a little deeper, and then you pop on the oil on top, and it's going to like really seal that moisture in the skin, and that's what's going to give you that plump feeling of when your skin feels really good, it kind of bouncy. That's what it's going to do for you. So I always say, if you want bare minimum, cleanser, some type of water-based product, and then an oil, and you should be good. And sunscreen, please, everybody.
Yes.
Every day.
So if we were to go online and look at your products, is that fairly easy to figure out which products meet those criteria?
Yes. Okay, so I have packages that I sell based on skin type. And they each include, so my starter packages have a cleanser, a toner, and a facial oil. So again, that's your basics.
Yeah.
And from there, there's a lot more, honestly, because I have over 50 products and I still make them all by hand. But you have your cleanser, your toner, and your facial oil. And it's really, really simple. You use your cleanser, you're going to get that squeaky clean feeling. Your skin might look a little lighter, because I've had that happen with some people. They're like, oh my God, I look lighter. I'm like, because you probably still had a lot of dirt on your face or something. I don't know. Something's not, your cleanser wasn't clean. Like, that's it. And then you have your toner. You just mist. I do a pump top because I like to mist toners on. And then I follow with the facial oil. So if you go on my site, just go on the packages and you'll see they have one for each skin type. We have oily, normal, dry, combination, and then mature.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait
to
get on.
Tell us about, so what we see a lot in our membership, and like what we talk to a lot of women about, is I have this great idea. I really am passionate about this, but you actually took this step, and this is the step that some women just never get to, which is like, you created this thing. Like, you actually went through with it and just said, like, let's make this a business. Can you kind of walk us through those early stages of your business?
Oh yeah. Well, of course, like I told you,
you gave it away.
Giving away. 7 years of giving it away. But in between that time, I was a professional makeup artist. So I still was doing something, in the beauty industry. And what actually started me to sell the line is, if you ever got your makeup done, it's pretty intimate for the most part, because you usually go to your artist strip. Like, your skin is bare. You're like, okay, girl, look, I know I don't look my best, but you're going to make me look my best. And usually when you're in someone's space like that, and if you're like me, where you're passionate about skin, you start asking questions. So what's going on with your skin? Like, feeling some texture, I'm feeling, because it's a very hands-on job. And outside of that, my clients are looking at my skin and is like, okay, so what are you using? Like, what's going on with your skin? And it just gave me not a light bulb moment, but kind of a light bulb moment of, I probably should start selling this stuff, because I'm big on monetizing gifts. Like I am, I'm not the person that will sit back and be like, oh, everything should be a hobby. I love making money. So I'm big on monetizing gifts. But I'm very particular about what gifts to monetize. So every idea does not need to be a business, because a lot of times if you're not, a little passionate about it, you're going to get tired of it. You're going to give up. It's just not going to work. So starting from there, it just made sense because I was in the beauty industry for so long, and it fit with what I was doing. So I'm a makeup artist. I see skin all day. I touch skin all day. Why not give people a two-in-one? Like, why would I send you out to buy? I'm telling you what to buy from the store, and I could just tell you what to buy from me. So it just only made sense.
That makes sense. So tell us what it's like to actually like run a handmade product business. So you have this idea, you say, okay, I'm already making this stuff. I want to monetize it. I feel passionate about it. And then what? Because just like we were talking, you have your 51st sale on the a product that's 50% off on the first one, which I think is such a cool idea, but you need the quantity to be able to ship that out.
Yes.
How, because you do everything yourself, correct?
Yes, I do.
Or you do
The
everything
literal everything is a one-woman show. I mean, I even print and cut my own labels. Like I do all of it. But I'm sorry, repeat the question, because my brain went somewhere else.
Like what it's like to run a handmade product business.
All right, well, it's time consuming for sure. And then in this day and age, it's probably harder now than it's been before, because we're in a time of competing with Amazon and those type of expectations of delivery. So that probably is my biggest thing. It's not a bad thing in a sense. I think transparency is best, especially now with your clients or your customers, because as long as they understand your process, they are willing to, be a little more understanding of why it takes longer than 2 days to get your product. Like, I'm not, whatever. And I try to make it really clear. I think the best part about it is just being transparent, doing something like this, especially something handmade. For example, one of my vendors, I get my herbs from an actual farm. So, because I'm very particular where I get my ingredients from. So I get mine from an actual farm in the US. And they have a disclaimer on their site that says, look, we are a running farm. It could take up to a month to get your stuff, because we run a farm here. So, we have a lot of things to do. And sometimes we can't just always process orders every day. So that type of transparency lets people know. I make sure my clients understand, or my customers know, like, I make everything by hand and I make it fresh to order. So I'm not just stocking shelves and letting it sit, because it's natural products. I don't want you to lose out on some of that shelf life. So a lot of times I will, if I make anything in advance, it may be a couple of days, because I know it's probably going to end up selling. Now for 51st deals, that's something I know is going to sell. So I can make that maybe 2 days in advance, because I know I'm going to start shipping it out come the first and the second, so that's different. But for the most part, I am literally making things as they come in, like as the product order come in, hand making it, preparing it, shipping it out. But that transparency is really what keeps me and my customers kind of on the same page, because people are fine with you taking a little longer in this weird Amazon age, but you have to let them know why,
So how do you keep the quality controls up? Like, if, because you have these formulas and you've like created all of these things. I mean, this to me is an amazing business. Yeah. So like, how do you keep it consistent? You know what I mean? Because you're like freshly sourcing everything.
Yeah. I make sure I have everything in stock for the most part, which has been a struggle since COVID. But I've been making it so long that it's almost second nature. I can almost Creole cook my products now. Like I say Creole cooking, where you don't measure, you just start pouring. Like you're just like, okay, I know it's this much, this much, and I'm mixing and I go. So I think it's more of like that muscle memory of making product and keeping it consistent that way. I haven't had anyone complain in the, let me see, 14 now, what year are we in? Like 7 years. I haven't had anyone complain about, oh, my quality is different or something's wrong. I'm so used to doing it. Now the problem is I ain't gonna say problem because I don't want to claim that. It's gonna be teaching someone else. Because I don't plan to hand make this forever. So teaching someone else, as the business grows and things like that, even bigger, how to make the product like I do, making sure they keep that quality control and those measurements right and things like that. So as far as me making it, I'll be fine. Now, once it's someone else, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, so as you're making all these products, when we had our pre-call the other day, you shared a really great piece of advice for others who are in charge of the operations about the story about Allure magazine asking you to be that. I'd love for you to share that with.
Oh, absolutely. And I could probably give you a little more detailed version of that.
Okay.
But okay, so the bit of advice, start there. The bit of advice was basically don't bite off more than you can chew in your business. If there's something that comes up, like an opportunity that you feel like you can't pass up, or it's like a once in a lifetime opportunity, and you really can't fulfill it because you're just not there yet, let them know that up front. Just be okay with saying, I just can't. My business is not at that scale yet. Because you don't want to burn that type of bridge either with disappointing them as a fail. So my story is Allure magazine wanted my toner, which is actually the same toner that goes on sale tomorrow. They wanted my toner.
Awesome.
Yeah. They wanted my toner in their beauty box, right? So Allure has their box that they send out, the subscription box monthly for like whatever brands that they wanted to, send out to their people. And I had the opportunity, and honestly, I think it was more of lack of asking questions before agreeing. I mean, it was just too exciting. So you live and you learn. But I agreed to do it. And then we started talking numbers after I agreed to do it. And I found out I had to do 40,000 bottles. And they gave me 2 months to do it.
Oh my goodness.
So I was like, okay, I have to figure this out. I have to figure out how much it's gonna cost me, this is and blah, blah, blah. And they tried their best to get me in the box. Now, what they didn't disclose up front though, and I understand, business is business and they're gonna perform where they can. When I decided to pull out, because I told them twice I couldn't do it. So the first time they tried to convince me to stay. So it was like, after I looked at the numbers, looked at the timeline, I was like, wait a minute. So about 2 weeks later, I was like, okay, I've tried everything, I've looked at everything. I simply just can't afford to do this. Because even if it costs me $1 per product, that's $40,000 that I have to shell out right quick.
Yeah.
I'm not prepared to do that. And so they were like, oh, well, we'll give you 50 cents per bottle, blah, blah, blah. So y'all willing to pay me $20,000 to do this? And why y'all didn't tell me that up front? It's those type of things that I was like, oh, okay, so you learn something new every day. They actually will pay for this type of stuff instead of you thinking, it's an exposure situation or whatever the case may be. So I know I thought about it. I was like, wait, let me think on that. Let me see what I can pull up. I mean, I had investors on the phone. I was trying to get investors. I did everything I could because I am a woman of my word. So when I said I wanted to do it, I was going to do it. I tried my best to get it done. But all in all, it just was a situation I just couldn't get done because by the time I was waiting on the investors to call me back and this and that, time was going by. It was like maybe a month before deadline. I just had to call them. I really had to get on the phone with editors and be like, hey, sorry guys, I can't do it. I can't because again, I still don't have $20,000 just sitting on the side to do this. And I still had to order the product, we'll order the packaging, 20,000, 40,000 bottles, wait for that to come in. I still do everything by hand. So it just was a lot. And I had a team of people, of course, a support system that would have helped, but it's just the timeline just wasn't going to cut it. And that was probably one of the hardest calls I had to make because I've never had to do something like that, like tell a huge company like Allure, hey, I can't do this. Sorry, I know I told you that, but I can't. But the takeaway from that was one, don't tell people you can do something that you can't do. And ask all your questions up front to make sure it's something that you really want to do or you can do before agreeing. But also, don't look at it like it's an opportunity missed or it's like something that won't ever come up again. Because even in those situations, it would have cost me a lot of money and it would have given me a lot of exposure. But maybe like a month after that, I received the offer from a subscription box on a smaller scale, and I was able to fulfill that one. So it's like, the universe still gave me something to say, oh, no, we can still move forward with this. It's fine, no big deal. And then maybe a year after that, I ended up being featured in like 3 major magazines in the UK. So it was like Glamour, Vogue, and Elle, British Glamour, British Vogue, and British Elle. All in the same year, I think. So things work out how they're supposed to. The opportunities are still going to come. And that's really the advice I'm saying. Like, don't worry about something you can't do, because what's for you is going to come to you anyway.
I think that's so interesting that you say that. Emily and I had a similar experience in our private advisory practice, where it was like a very large opportunity to manage a lot of money. I mean, and we kept like, going to the finals and going to the finals. And then, I mean, but it just didn't feel right. Like, it just didn't feel like it was the time. And I remember us like actively praying, like, Lord,
we didn't get it.
Please do not, like, we will sink with this opportunity, because we would have had to put all our resources on this one thing. And it was just not the time. And I mean, as much as you want it, as much as it could change your whole trajectory for that very tiny moment in time, it just wasn't right. And like, I think the great thing about women is that we know when something's not right. Like, we've been specially gifted to kind of like with that instinct. And we just knew, we're going through the motions of this, but like, it's just not for us. And we, but it's such a big opportunity. It's like, how do you say no? Anyway, at the end, I mean, we were actively praying, like, dear Lord, please do not give us this opportunity. And I just so respect you being able to just call them and say, like, hey, listen, it's just not going to work out. And I think that the more you can communicate, one thing we say around our office a lot is like, clarity is kindness. And I really, really think it is. I mean, and I love your abundance mindset that, like, just because you miss this one opportunity does not mean anything is lost. It just isn't.
Right. And
I always say there are no coincidences in life.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say the insight too, that like, you got asked to do it. Sometimes it's fun to just like celebrate the ask. To say, you know what, we can do this, but can you believe that, we made the top 3 for that? I mean, that was
totally.
And it so use it as like a catalyst to, okay, if this is what we really want to do, how do we get there? The interesting thing about us, though, I think it also was kind of one of those things. It's like, that's really not the direction that we're going. I mean, do you want to be in a position where you can produce 40,000 bottles of something within weeks? Because that would project it out. Like, what does that look like? And I love that when those opportunities create the opportunity to really reflect on, or, dream of, hey, is that really where we want to be? Or, do I love making this by hand? Do I love the personal connection? Do I, so it's interesting as women, as we build our businesses, because I think sometimes, depending on each of our individual personalities and our lives and what we have going on, we have, different goals for different times of our lives. And to be able to like be true to that is a real gift.
That's true. I agree.
Okay, so another thing that we talked about the other day that I loved, and I would love for our members to hear, it's just the talk, like discussing how, like, when you are running your own business, especially in your situation where you're making the product and you're doing almost everything on your own, how do you balance your work life and your personal life? And like, what are some things that you put in place to make sure that you're taking care of yourself?
Well, first and foremost, and I'm pretty sure we said this on the pre-call, but my main thing is be selfish. And to make that make sense, I actually have started to literally put myself first. No one comes before me, not even my kids. Because, if I'm not 100%, I can't give 100%, and then no one else will be. And it's like, as women, we really are the top at that point, you know what I'm saying? And then everything else, like, everyone kind of depends on us, and if we can't stop and just make sure, our tank is full, or that we are, relaxed and well rested and stress free, everyone around us is going to feel it. we know that, people try to play this game like it's a man's word. It's really not. If it's not for us, we're not. It's just not. Like, so to balance it, I make sure that I'm okay first. And then from there, everyone else gets to, benefit from me being balanced out or whatever, So I take trips, I take naps, I, I eat my favorite food, things like that. I work out, whatever. I definitely do take naps, so I'm really serious about that. I take naps all the time. But my kids, I even tell that to my children. I have 2 daughters, and I even told them, I'm raising them that same way. Like, always be selfish. Put yourself first. Don't put anybody before you, because the only person you're really responsible for is yourself. And that includes me. Don't put me before you. Put you first, because I'm going to do the same. And then from there, we're going to be balanced people, and it's going to be good. And we really have no bad energy in the house, ever. We have no turmoil. We don't fight. We don't fuss. I barely have to tell them much, And that's because they're vocal about, look, this is too much for me right now. I really can't. And I understand it, because, again, I'll be the same way. I don't want to talk about this right now. I don't want to deal with this, whatever. Being clear, I'm a very direct person. I think that helps a lot too. I don't, you don't really have to guess with me as far as like how I feel about something. So it's just keeping that peace. That's my ultimate goal in anything is peace of mind. So I just want to be at peace all the time, where I'm not stressed about anything or worried about anything. And in order to do that, like you said, clarity is kindness. I'm giving you a kindness by being clear. So that's how I balance it. I just make sure I'm okay, and then everything else will be okay.
Well, I just think you just gave us some amazing parenting advice.
I know. I love that.
She always comes home from school. I've got somebody on this call who knows my daughter well as well. Erin, you can attest to this. She would come home from school and she says, I need my alone time. Like almost every day. And I mean, she goes up there, she shuts the door. And for whatever reason, that's always hurt my mother's feelings, like if she's there helping with them. And I've had to be her advocate and tell my family, like, don't get in the way of that for her. We've taught her how to advocate for herself and what she needs. She's extremely introverted. But if she gets that time, she's so much more pleasant for all of us anyway. But it's interesting. It's sometimes there's a clash there because, especially in the South, that we're taught to be polite and to, put others first, and and so sometimes, but many a time that's at the expense of ourselves. And
and then but it gives that is that click out moment, that outburst of, I'm so busy putting everybody first that I'm like really not taking care of me. So when I get to my breaking point, I'm breaking on everyone. It's like everybody can get it. It is what it is. I've even had my daughter say, like, if me and my, my oldest is, I ain't gonna say too hyper, but like feeling really good and feeling and talking too much. And my youngest will be like, all right, I can't wait. Y'all saying too much at one time. It's almost like a sensory overload. She's like, well, can y'all just chill out for a minute? And again, no one takes offense. She's like, oh no, my bad. That's fine. Go ahead, do your thing, and it just works out, but I try to make sure they understand, like, speak up for yourself. Like, look, if you don't want to be bothered, just say, look, I need a break.
That's such a good word. Well, I can't believe that it's already that our time is coming close to a close. But our favorite, we're so grateful for you coming on with us today. We really are, and you're our last Wealth Edit Wednesday until August, and we're so lucky because we're going to get to think about this for a whole month. But the question we like to ask everyone that comes on is why you said yes to the Wealth Edit.
Well, one, I'm women first always, so I'm always an advocate for sharing anything that can help women. That really is my main thing. And letting people know that you don't have to go the traditional route to be, financially stable. You don't have to go because everyone knows beauty industry was kind of taboo for a very long time. Like, oh, you're a hairstylist. Why are you not going to college for this? No. But if you think about it, especially as women, what do we do all the time? Get our hair done, get our nails done, those things. It's a real big industry. And just knowing to be okay with enjoying your passion. Like, because even with myself with the skincare line, before doing makeup, I always had a passion for it. So if you're passionate about something, monetize it. I love putting that message out there. Like, be your own boss and just make money from it.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for your wise words and
Thanks for
sharing
having
your
me.
story. I hope if people want to find your product, can you tell them the website, and hopefully we can all go get our starter kit and get our place really clean. I know I.
Um, it's shopandrelles.com. So it's SHOP and Andrelles is ANDRELLES. And that's the same across all social media platforms is Shop Andrelles. So whether it's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, same thing. My DMs are always open if you have questions. My email is info@shopandrelles.com. I keep everything consistent so it's easy to remember. But yeah, I'm definitely open to, I would love to hear you guys' thoughts. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put a code up. So we'll do 15% off. The code will be Wealth Edit. So anybody that's on it, I can make that real quick. And then I'll do that for say like the next month while y'all off, chilling out. And yeah, so for the next 30 days, we'll do Wealth Edit 15% off anybody who use it.
Awesome.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. What a gift.
You're so welcome.
All right. Well, have a wonderful rest of the day, and we will see everybody else in August.
All right.
Sounds good.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.